I come from Salisbury in Wiltshire, and I grew up near Stonehenge, about 1.5 miles away in a cottage. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to take some pictures of you. Actually, you're the first of the day.
All right.
So photography is my main passion, but recently it's turned from wanting to be behind the camera to wanting to be out there giving back.
Excuse me, are you from Liverpool today?
I love being with people more and more as I get older and talking with people. We all do bad things and good things, and none of us are perfect. And what we got to do is at least come to an understanding that other people have different ways of thinking, different cultures, different religion, different politics. And we've got to allow them to be able to live their own way. And if we just understood that, and we made other people around the world aware of that we understand their needs, life would be a lot better. And the only way that I can help in getting that message across is showing that we are all the same. Can we take a photograph of you? Part of a big collection?
Yes, indeed.
We're this way, we're down at the town hall.
3 minutes to take a photograph of you.
I really don't want to.
Can I show you what we're doing in there anyway, and then you can make up your own mind? You'd love it.
Just gives a little Allen key.
Do you think we're getting any interest yet?
You just hold those two.
I'll take them for a walk.
Don't run up.
Do you want my job?
If you have to uncover the lights or do anything to go back.
This is photography and documentary. So it's just all about bringing people together. You come in shopping today?
My lights are on, right?
Young lady, would you like to see a crew from America? See what they're doing? Come on in then. Look, I'm saving you from getting wet here.
I'm from Great Bernera, which is on the west side of Lewis. It's a small island. I like the smallness of it. Sometimes that's also what I don't like about it. But everybody knows everybody. Usually work together. We do a lot of community things together.
There's about 3 shops, 3 or 4 post offices, 1 inn, houses and nothing else. My house looks out over the ocean and it's so quiet and peaceful, incredible way of life. The people are friendly and it's just lovely.
I like my neighbours.
Sometimes the weather's quite nice, but when it's not, I don't really like it.
We haven't really got a very good climate here, but if we did, it'd probably be the best place in the world to stay. But it's very quiet here. It's very safe.
I think the world is in a kind of precarious position in terms of its rejection of truth and morality and what is good.
The best thing is music because it unites people. And the worst thing is religion because it divides people.
God is being more and more marginalised by countries throughout Europe, throughout the whole world. If you look at the causes of famine and war and disease, and ultimately at the end of it, if you dig deep enough, you will see that it's down to human beings, human frailties, sin. Sin is at the heart of all of this devastation that it's wreaked on our society. And of course, everything else is blamed except what is to blame.
I'd probably just ask people to be tolerant. You know, everybody's different religions, races, but we're all basically the same, so just try and be tolerant of everybody else's views.
There is a truth, there is a God, there is a Saviour. And there is hope for the world, you know. That there can be peace, that there can be order. The chaos would disappear.
Did you know that we have a film production in the town hall here today?
Well, when I met David Gibbons outside the building today, and he said that part of the vision of the project was to show that people are the same the whole world over. And I believe that people's aspirations and hopes and fears are pretty much the same the whole world over. And I believe that we can all live together happily.
So it's memories that all of us will cherish, probably for the rest of our lives. It's always an emotional roller coaster with us. When you visit a town or a city like this, you always know on two counts that with the people, you're probably never going to see them again. And I'm sure for myself and many of the crew, it's unlikely that we'll ever come back here again, unless we're very lucky. So the privilege is that we've been here and had the huge honour to mingle with the people. And Stornoway was a super day. It was an island with many issues, but wonderful, passionate people who love talking to us about so many varied issues. We did a documentary last year, 14 Days in America. We went from New York to Portland, Oregon in 14 straight days. And we photographed hundreds of people, just like we are this year. And we're traveling across from Stornoway in the Western Isles and finishing up in London. And we're photographing people all over the country. You would make the most wonderful photograph. There's a portrait photographer from Los Angeles in there. It takes about 5 minutes. I'm just asking people in Glasgow today to just help me to get a message out that unites all of us, and at the same time shows how great Glasgow is. And we're here just one day, and it's all about an end result of just unity and understanding using our art.
Yes, where are you from, Canada?
No.
Glasgow is very much a Victorian city, as you'll no doubt see. The architecture is Victorian. Well, I was born in Glasgow and I've lived in and around Glasgow virtually all my life. Glasgow is a sort of a city that I know so well now that it's an old familiar friend.
I was born and moved to Glasgow when I was 7 or something like that, my mum and dad, and just I've lived here ever since, and I started playing guitar 7 years ago. I've been busking with this man here for the last 2 or 3 or something like that. It's been good, eh?
Years or months?
2 years or something like that.
What do you love about Glasgow and Scotland?
Probably the earthiness of the people. They're quite a sort of, they've got a basic sense of humour which is quite amusing. I think there's a basic honesty about Scottish people as well. And we've got a lovely country to live in when the sun shines.
And do you busk in the rain and sunshine?
All weathers.
All weathers.
Yeah. All year round.
Yeah, so you've toughened yourself up to it.
That's right, yeah. Travis always goes down.
Do you remember where you were on September the 11th, 2001?
Yeah, I do. Aye. I was in my own house, and my friend James, who I hadn't seen for ages, came down to see me, and he said, "Have you heard about what's happened in New York? There's this plane flew into a building." And I goes, "You're joking?"
It's a weird day that day because it was just thinking about all this horrible thing was happening in the world. It totally put perspective on the problems I was having in that exact moment.
And I felt kind of protected. I remember feeling a protection. I felt glad to be over here and not over there, you know.
And I remember I had to sit down in the middle of the shop in H&M and just burst into tears. Sorry.
Freaky, man. Never forget that day. Never.
didn't.
I just feel for all those people. And all the families left behind. And I don't want to cry. Sorry about that. No, life goes on, but it's just, every so often it's a horrible memory. But you've got to keep going.
I remember a thought that came to me about how it seemed as if all this stuff in the book of Revelations was like coming true, you know. And I'd never had that feeling before, a standing in the middle of some kind of judgment.
People round about Glasgow and that are they're more aware now, and they like to talk about things. Like if tourists come over, they always ask about that. I've seen a few people over, but it's changed a lot of people's lives, and they don't know what's going to happen if anything does happen. Like London recently. London, that's been an eye-opener for Glasgow as well, because it's that close to home.
Disappointment at the fact that it had to take place the day after the G8 summit. And the fact that the G8 summit then got completely shoved out the way. I thought, how convenient for Tony Blair and how convenient for Bush. And I thought that was unfair. I thought these Al-Qaeda bastards, if they could only have left it a few more days and let us get the G8 thing sorted out at least. But it kind of angered me that these guys are so selfish and so set on getting their own way that they don't care about saving the lives of starving people or anything like that.
These dudes blowing themselves up and all the rest of it, you know? I mean, why are they doing that?
There's no need for stuff like that.
We all want peace here, okay? And we are here for peace. God sent us just to flourish love, nothing else. And it's like killing each other for nothing, okay, or flourishing your religion just for the sake, like you want to be good in everything, yeah, your religion is better than others. You need not to compare for this, because we are human.
And these people are just taking it by hearsay, and it's almost like tradition, and you know, taking it too far. I mean, tradition's fine when it's something like Christmas or something like that, and you give people presents, you know what I mean? But I mean, things like tradition of suicide bombing, I mean, giving them a present with a bomb inside it, you know, it's... So my advice to the next generation has got to be, just get rid of religion. I mean, John Lennon said it, put it that way, and what did they do? They shot him.
All you need is love, you know. That love is a great thing, but it's not a soft thing, it's a hard thing, love. It's a cruel thing sometimes, but it has to be done.
We are from different caste and creed, with different color, whatever, but the heart is same. Even you need love, I need love. The same passion what I'm having, same with you.
To me, it would be a great act of love if you remove George Bush from where he is. You know.
No. I just think everyone should get along. I don't see any point in going around killing people for oil or religion or whatever. At the end of the day, we all breathe the same air, so we've all got the same right to be on this earth. That's it. No one's better, no one's worse.
It's everybody, they should be peaceful. All should be peaceful.
God is saving us. He is there to save us, and we are not here to save him, okay?
No matter what happens, whether you break your back, whether you break a nail, whether you do whatever it is, it's how you come out of it, and that's what makes you stronger.
Peace. That's it.
part of something making a really huge difference for the world, but involving something that the young and old alike can really enjoy. I don't know, organising something in the way that goes on my phone.
See, the people are the power of the world, really. The governments are powerful, but the people are more powerful. You know, and like I say, think before you act. If people do think before they act, it might be a better world, you know.
Seeing what I've seen in my life, I would say, just think of the future, what you're doing to the world before you ruin it. We've ruined it. They've got to look after it. You've got to look after it, your age, your generation.
How do you think we've ruined it?
Greed, pollution. They call it progress. It is to a degree. You need some form of progress.
The seabirds in the north of Scotland haven't bred this year, and they haven't bred because the sand eels are not there because the sea has gone up by 1 degree. What a daft thing. Does that matter? Of course it matters, because we're only at the very beginning of what's happening.
So do you think it's progress? Because we're just getting older and we're just getting, you know...
What do you do in a world like this, man? I mean, it's everywhere, you know. Drugs are everywhere, violence is everywhere, you know.
You know, sub-Sahara Africa is already in deep trouble, and with global warming it can only get worse. Very nice for us in the north of Scotland, we might get some sunshine, but not good for the world as a whole. And it's too late to say, I didn't know.
Do you think we can change it? Because it's down to us really, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think we need better role models in the world, you know, people that put a good message across, you know, positive and that, you know. I mean, there are some good role models in that.
Programmes like this are things where you're actually getting the opinions of all kinds of people from all walks of life, not just kind of the celebrities and the politicians and the important people or the people that they think are important, but how it actually affects people like me and, you know, people everywhere. I think those are the opinions that matter.
As I say, I was 16 and a half when I volunteered to the German forces. I was a Hitler Youth member. I'm 80 years of age now. I was at one time a fanatic for army and things like that, and I think we should have no more wars.
I just think the war of any sort, whether it's religion or whatever, is just such a waste of energy. It's never going to stop, I don't imagine, but if you could wave a magic wand and people would actually recognise and like each other for all their differences and everything, I just think that would be wonderful.
Fight for what you believe and fight for people in other countries to have a better life of it, you know, because it pays you back. It pays you back in your heart and it pays you back in joy.
It's the old Scots saying, God says to some but so-and-so, what's that? And the man says, I didn't ken. And God says, no, you can now.
I am delighted to be called a citizen of Northern Ireland. I'm delighted because I can see what other people can't see. You know what I mean? I go over that word all the time, you know what I mean? But I can see the prospect in this land. The prospects in this land is unbelievable. What we need to do is forget about the politicians, because the politicians
I believe that they don't have their act together. And if they're going to sit down and fight and fight and fight and fight, people say, oh, forget about them. Now, I will tell you, I have to go over here to sit down because I have a sore back.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we take you inside and give you a cup of tea?
You can take me inside and give me a cup of tea if you
And
like.
take a photograph of you at the same time.
You see, you could get me into that wee lens. It's a very small wee lens.
I'm sure we can. Excuse me. Can I get 5 minutes for your time?
Yeah, no problem.
We're in the town hall here. Don't know if you heard about us. Taking a journey 14 days across the country.
Right.
And we're just in Newry here for the day.
No problem.
And we're photographing people and talking to people about their lives. Would you like to help us out?
Yeah, no problem.
Wonderful. You're from Newry, right?
I am indeed.
What do you do here then?
I'm a barman.
Barman?
I am indeed.
What, one of these pubs around us?
Oh no, we're just across the road, the Brass Monkey.
Yeah? What time's it open?
It's open at the minute.
Oh, well, I'll be over there in a minute then.
Do love it, do love it.
So when's your shift?
Oh, I'm on holidays now, starting today.
Oh.
So that's me for 2 weeks now.
Oh, are you going away?
I'm going to Turkey now on Sunday.
Going where?
Turkey.
Where's that?
In Europe.
In Europe? Oh, Turkey. I thought you said Twicky. I was wondering, I thought it was somewhere else in Ireland.
No, it's my accent.
I might not get this chance yet, so.
Can you help us out for 10 minutes? Allow us to photograph you? We're being hosted by the town hall here. And we got a photographer in there. Go on. Have fun.
Can I stand out here and wait?
Oh, come on. We got to take a photograph of all of you. What's your name?
Sasha.
Sasha, that's a nice name. Absolutely no politics at all. I have no agendas at all. It's simply about using our art to show that everybody at the end of the day is the same. There's nothing in it. There's no agendas at all. I have no agenda.
Harmony.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And showing that we're all the same.
Well, of course we're all the same.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
All the people throughout the world, whether black or white or people with no property, they're all our brothers and sisters.
Although people are all the same, there's big cultural differences, and these have to be recognised.
Right. Well, I believe that the arts and photography helps to send a message.
A lot of people, through ignorance, lack of knowledge of other cultures, other people's views, are very intolerant. And I really do think that if people got to know people, learn a wee bit about them, that we wouldn't have half the problems we have in the world today.
Respect each other. Listen. Be good to people.
Truthfully, it was rough, abusive, and it was very difficult. That's the best way I could explain it. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first kiss?
Yeah. Yeah, of course I remember my first kiss, yeah.
My first kiss. That's a long time ago. Yes, I do, yeah.
So, do you have a story you could share with us? Or it could be your first kiss with him.
Oh, well, I'll say it was, we worked together and we were coming home, we were in the late shift, and he kissed me on the way home in the van. So, and ever since that, we've been together 36 years ago.
There's quite a lot goes on in Newcastle on Tyne. There's lots to see and do if you want to do it. I'm a bit old now to do all that, but it's quite nice.
One of the friendliest places I've ever been. And if you're having a bad day, you can go into any shop and tell somebody about the crap day you're having. And there's always somebody to listen to you.
I'm quite happy. I do a bit of creative writing, which I'm happy with. And I fill my time in with visiting friends and just being happy.
Well, really, a lot of my life health-wise, hasn't been great.
And I've just celebrated my 60th wedding anniversary. Everybody's made a heck of a lot of it, much more than I wanted to. To me, I thought of just another year, but anyway, 60 is amazing because most husbands are dead by then. Sorry, boys.
Oh, should I remember the first cigarettes I smoked. I can remember it now, thinking back.
My mother dying was horrendous. I think that's one of the worst things that can happen to a child.
I was a very energetic child, and I never did anything that I didn't win at.
I was actually adopted when I was a child. So I come down here looking for my real mum.
My father was wonderful. You know, he took over and it was marvellous the way I mean, normally a man doesn't do the things a woman does, but we jogged along and he brought us up very successfully, I think, being a man.
And I haven't really got any plans for getting married and having children and things like that, particularly. So it's one of those things where if it happens, it'd be great. If it doesn't happen, you know, I don't really mind so much. And yeah, that's about it.
Could you possibly share with us one of your most vivid childhood memories?
Probably getting bullied at school and things. Getting picked on as I was a child. Getting to blame me things I didn't even do. Just get to blame me things that my brothers and sisters done. They just used to wrap all the blame on me. I just felt lonely, depressed and all that. It felt as if I wasn't wanted. So basically I left the place when I grew older, you know.
If I went into a race, I won the race and nobody else did. And I was always like that. And I grew up and I still did that when I went to school. That's my memory of childhood, and I couldn't sit still. That's why I'm still 82.
Just live day by day, don't you? And especially when you get to my age.
Look after your health. I think I started smoking when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old.
Stay healthy, don't take drugs and that. It does mess up your life. Totally does mess up your life. I nearly killed myself with heroin. Just doing silly things, running about shoplifting. Just silly things just to make money every day to get drugs and it was just silly. You know what I mean? There's no need for it.
Well, my generation lived through a war, and I would hate my grandchildren to have to go through a war. So, just
just to try and live peaceably.
Be kind to other people. I mean, the thing is, and have some sense of decency, and not think of bombing other people. I mean, just to live in peace.
I would like to say I wish they'd all forget their religions and things and just think of themselves as human beings and love one another as a human being. I think that, to me, is my advice. Don't be told what to do, just love one another. Rather than anything, you know.
People with, you know, they're so religious, they can't see other people. They only see their own religion. To me, their eyes are closed in religion. Like, I mean, to say I'm a Protestant, but in a way it doesn't mean anything. It's just a word. All these different religions and even among the Protestant, if you're not one set, there's Methodists and Baptists and one doesn't like the other. I think religion is, I would say, keep away from it.
Well, I just like everything to be good and nice and everybody to get on, that's all. That'll never happen, will it?
Be patient with one another and try to love one another. It's very difficult in a hard world, but try to be patient because life is difficult. It has lots of ups and downs, which is very difficult to deal with often, and people turn out nastier than they ought to sometimes. Some people turn out much nicer than I think. That's life.
The mix of people and the really fun spirit that you get out in the community. There is a real buzz about the city and the prospects for the future, I think.
I grew up, got a job at 14. I went to be an apprentice tailor. My friend had come to Bradford to work in the textiles. And she was earning a fabulous wage, something like £5 or £6 a week, and I was getting 10 shillings. This is in old money. So I begged my mum and dad to let me come to Bradford to work in the mills, and I did. I came to work in the mills, and I lived in the hostel. That's how I arrived in Bradford.
Is your family here?
No, they're still down in Dudley. You wouldn't be able to tell where I'm from listening to me now, because when I was young, when I went to university, I had to learn how to speak properly, if you like, properly. I had to learn how to speak so that other people could understand me, because in Dudley people don't speak like this at all. You speak like that. You've got an old language that nobody can understand if you're from outside.
Wow.
Well, I wish the world all spoke the same language and we all had the same religious beliefs.
Not many people know what nationality you are.
He's a Muslim and I'm a Church of England. You might be a Catholic. What makes us any difference?
By looking, when people see your background, they're a bit prejudiced. They're not he's one of them, or because he looks like them.
If you read the Bible or you read whatever they read, there's only one God.
You get the nasty looks.
Look past what they look like and look past what they're saying, because they will almost undoubtedly have many of the same concerns that you have.
I think so, yeah. And tell the difference by notifying what his beliefs is or what his intention of doing things or his attitude is. I think mainly his communication problem we get in.
The powers that be, if you like, I'm convinced, want us to think in a homogenised way. They want us to think about X as Y. They want us to think about all of those people as being like that, and they're not. It's just easier if they are, but they're not.
It doesn't matter what nationality you are, what colour you are, they all got to work together.
I suppose if I had a message to the world, it'd be pull yourself together, for heaven's sake.
17 years and travelled all over the world and been around the world 5 times. And I've come back, so obviously I love my city. Simple as that.
Oh, Liverpool's very exciting. It's in the process of great change. It had been a city which everybody saw as depicting the worst features you could find. Mass unemployment, depression, no hope. That's changed dramatically now. It's a very fast-growing city. We're going to be European capital of culture. Unemployment is very much reduced, though we still do have some problems. And the city is building up very quickly indeed, so it is a city full of life.
I think with any area there's a great spirit of belonging somewhere and a loyalty towards it, isn't it? I know we've won the capital of culture, but the fact that we've got fabulous buildings and great football teams and a great musical heritage, and yeah, proud to be from where we're from.
Just to be honest, no, it's a nice enough place. I like the scenery, the place I live, the people I live with, the people I know. But mostly to be honest, the people I know. That's the best thing about where I live.
The people in Liverpool, Merseyside are generally friendly and very outgoing people, approachable people. You tend to see that a lot more in the northwest regions, I suppose. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they're less densely populated than down south, I'm not sure. But I did actually live down south in London, the southeast, you know, the Crays, notorious bad guys and all that kind of thing. But down there, they seemed unapproachable, not very nice people, or maybe they were just scared to, like, you know, tell anyone at the time, that kind of thing. Am I boring you yet? Go on.
Can you remember your first kiss?
My first drink.
First kiss. Kiss. Where you were on September 11th, 2001?
Yes, in the pub. Saw it all in the pub. We were all shocked, obviously. And that's where I was on that day.
September the 11th has changed the world.
It changed everybody. Changed everybody. We've only got to look at London. We don't trust anybody anymore.
It's made it a more paranoid place.
I'll give you an instance. I got on a train the other day, and a man from Pakistan or whatever, and he had a rucksack on. So why do you right away? You react, don't you? You react and go, oh, I'm watching you. I was just glad to get off the train. And the man, he just got off and walked away. And that's the situation we're in. Don't trust anybody.
The politicians now, they come out with, you know, September the 11th is the reason why they're in Iraq, the reason why they're in Afghanistan.
You know, there's all sorts. They put September the 11th for the blame on all sorts of things at the moment, but it hasn't really changed my life. It hasn't really changed the way I think.
I felt very frightened. Not altogether surprised, but just very frightened, and I just wondered what had happened and what was the scale of the damage and just what had actually taken place. Very shocking, literally.
Well, it makes me feel, you know, the day and age we live in, one doesn't know what's going to happen next. That's the unfortunate part about it all. Yeah. It's not very nice bringing children up in this day and age.
The terrorist approach that, you know, it wasn't upfront, it was the deceit of it all.
Stop killing each other. You've got to learn to get along. We only live once. It's a waste of time.
I like peace in the whole world, but whether that will ever be, it won't be in my lifetime, but I hope it is in the years to come, that the world is free of terrorism. Yeah.
What is it you really want out of life? What is it you're looking for? What is it about the world that drives you? What is it about the world that makes you who you are? Are you really who you are? Or are you who other people think you are, or who they've made you into? Look within. Are you part of conditioning, or are you part of who you were born to be? That's what I would say to the world.
It's made my opinion of the world we live in. There are times when we all feel terrific when the sun's out and it's a nice day and it's quiet, the birds are twittering away and everything. Then you start to think of things like that and the Iraq problem and the Ireland problem that we used to have. My God, I said my God, but you say, is a God up there?
I'm a Buddhist by I suppose that's my inclination. So I spend a lot of my time thinking about sort of ways of living in harmony and living in peace.
Every time we pick the newspaper up, there's never, you know, terrific news. It's always someone's been murdered. And how do you cope with that as a parent, for instance? And I look at my two grandchildren, I'm thinking, how would I cope if that was me? My eldest brother, just as an aside, he had a daughter, 22, 23-year-old, killed in a plane crash. And I've never seen anyone age so quickly from being a relatively young man to being an old man in the space of 3 months. That was the effect it had on him. And pray God I never...
It breaks my heart that there is a lot of time and a lot of money wasted on drugs and rubbish when we can all be helping each other.
Yeah, there seems to be no solution, does there?
I'm a big believer, as I said. I don't boast about what happens to me. I want to push my experiences on to help others. The pain was great, what I went through, yes. On one side I was there, and now I'm on the other side.
We're going to get a photograph of you in the studio first.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'll take a photograph of you out here later.
Oh, yeah,
People need to be allowed access to an audience.
Well, I got up this morning and I didn't think I'd be giving a message to the world. So I haven't really got one ready.
I'm a church member, go to church.
I lost my mum and dad about 4 or 5 years ago.
I help with my grandchildren when needed.
I've got an aunt who's 89 and blind.
And my father died first and then my mother.
And I'm also a member of the British Legion.
I've got 3 grandchildren who are coming down here tomorrow.
I've noticed in the last 2 years when I talk to people and put them on a camera, it's It's a night and day change I see in their faces. Just the fact that they can say something, they can talk about themselves, and they can hopefully get their message across to the world, whether it's 5 seconds or 5 minutes. And allowing people to do that teaches other people to understand about them and their lives. So at the end of the day, it's understanding.
Imagine if you had a tale to tell that had begun from the moment you were born and before, that still continued to present day, that was not just ordinary, but extraordinary.
Go one step at a time. Don't run before you walk. Yeah? There is a barrier. It's hard work.
But my message would be,
if you've got respect for yourself in life, then you will have more respect for other people as well.
treat people with respect and you'll get respect back, you know? And if you're looking for anything, look under a lot of stones, and then underneath the last stone you might find what you're looking for.
Telford is great. It reminds me of the Caribbean to an extent, you know. Just that some of the weather is, you know, ups and downs. Yeah. But otherwise, it's good. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. It's a good experience, you know. Yeah, a lot of people ask me that question: how come you leave the Caribbean, which is so nice and lovely, and you come here to this dreary-looking place, you know? I say, well, because I was born there, so I know what's happening there, and this is an experience, you know. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Well, the thing I particularly like about this area is its traditions. And over the years, as I've got more interested with being involved with the museum, in how modern society was created, it actually moved on very tremendously in the last 200 years. And because Iron Bridge was a very, very major part of that, we first learned how to smelt iron here from coke. It had previously been done from charcoal, and I've become more and more fascinated with that and the things that it has led to. So I really enjoy being part of the museum, which tells the story of our industrial heritage.
Well, what I love about this place is the landscape, you know, the old makeup, because it reminds me very much of the place where I was born. And the heritage, you know, you feel something that it's just unique, you know, you don't feel it elsewhere, you know, it's a lovely feeling. It's my spot. Yeah.
But could you recall for us and tell us about your first kiss?
Oh, crikey. Has anybody refused to answer that question? Oh, well, I can't be the first then, can I? It was embarrassing, it was totally unmemorable, and I would like to forget it. And until today, I have forgotten it, so thank you very much indeed.
What advice would you give the next generation?
Oh, what advice will I give to the next generations in terms of kissing? No?
Could you recall for us your first kiss?
Well, my first kiss undoubtedly would be my mother. I cannot say that I particularly remember that.
You think I should remember, no? But I can't. Oh, wow. Era or cutie or...
I suppose the first real one that had any sort of emotional involvement takes me back to about 1954, when I first met my wife on the tennis court, and we decided we'd go out together, and we went to see a film called Genevieve, and decided we really did like each other. And when I took her home, we stood by a wooden fence which strangely still stands unscathed by modern times, and had a good night kiss. So I guess I do remember that.
So, if you think about people of that age, what advice would you give the next generation?
When you've got something that you'd like to do, talk to an older generation. You don't necessarily have to do what they say. Talk to your mother and father. they've probably fallen into the sort of traps that you could possibly fall into. You don't have to take any notice, but you never lose anything by asking somebody that's been around a lot longer than you if they've ever had this experience and what would they think about it. And I'd content myself at that, because young people have got lots and lots of good ideas that old generations or older generations have never even thought about. That isn't to say that experience of life over a long period of time, you can't pass on good things to young people. So I'd say, always be prepared to ask questions of older generations and listen. You don't necessarily have to do what they say.
If you ask me what keeps me going is just knowing that I know, and maybe tomorrow someone else will know what I know. In life, I just see maybe evil is just out of timing. And I think if we can look at it in its true context, we could have a better world, you know.
I would like to see a return to an era where, and it's not that long ago, where there was perhaps more respect between people. And maybe there will be a reaction against, you know, what we see now towards that. So I have no advice. I'm just saying that's what I would like to see, and that's what I would like my children and my children's children to experience.
The world for me is not just black and white. It's colorful, just like the way I am. You know? Yeah.
Anything. Love, understanding, yeah, caring for one another, basically. Yeah, love, understanding, caring for one another. Yeah, that's it. Nice and simple.
Newport is, she is a bit of a town.
It's a kind of, I mean, you mentioned Newport to people, and where's Newport? It's kind of in between Cardiff and Bristol.
You know, it's a great place in terms of accessibility. It's got a motorway which runs through it. So on our doorstep, you know, we've got some great cities in Cardiff and Bristol. It's just easy to get to.
I don't like anything about Newport now, to tell the truth. I've tried to move away a few times, but it's just like a magnet. It just keeps drawing me back. It's just home for me, really, you know.
She's got plenty of life and vitality. Perhaps she's a sort of relative you don't want to own up to having, but you love her dearly. Or the date you don't want to admit going on, but you enjoyed yourself. But I love Newport, it's a great place.
Because it's a lot smaller than Cardiff, it's a lot smaller than Bristol, so a lot of people don't really know. A lot of people don't really know where it is, or what it is. But they're trying to make Newport into a city.
My role nowadays is to look after the regeneration of the city. So for a long time now, there's been a lack of investment in the city, and we've seen on the doorstep the great cities of Cardiff emerging with the regeneration there in the Cardiff Bay. We've seen investments going into Bristol, but it hasn't happened in Newport City Centre. So my role now is to try and redress that, working with the team and working with the private sector and the public sector to pull together strategies to actually regenerate and actually reinvigorate the city.
I love all cathedrals, churches, buildings, but you had one in here a couple of years ago, I don't know if you ever knew it, the old town hall. When they knocked that down, they knocked us straight out to Newport. Because I can remember when I was a baby, I used to walk through there and used to see it, and it had buildings, old architects, what they cannot build today. You look at the monument now, the castle. Now, how did they build them in those days? Now the sculpture, how they build them, it's fantastic. But they can build them today, they haven't got them equality. And I like old Victorian buildings, and people think I'm crackers. All right, I am crackers in my own way. But it's at the end of the day, you look at the artist who builded them and what it is today like, you know what I mean?
Could you possibly tell me what advice you would give the next generation?
Yeah, protect your cultural heritage. Don't bulldoze your castles. And just relax, you know, it's... travel, absolutely, if you can at all afford, or just figure out how to visit as many countries as you can and live abroad. I mean, it really opens your eyes, and yeah, just be aware that there's a world out there.
and give presents to kids. I didn't have to go through the trenches in the Great War that my grandfather did. I didn't have to see Normandy. I didn't have to see Arnhem or Belsen that my father saw. So I'm lucky. My little part of world history is going out and being nice to people from Belarus. We must embrace them and bring them into Europe. Because, as I say, I'm a child of the Cold War. I've lived seeing Newport, I got in the brain. I've lived seeing Europe divided. We've got to make Europe whole. At the moment, I'm putting up a young Polish student who's working over here, and I think it's wonderful, really, that where before my concept of Europe is something finished with the Berlin Wall. Now our concept of Europe is what maybe our grandparents saw, a vast, powerful, cultured continent that we're privileged to live in.
Some people are not so fortunate, and there are a lot of people worse off than us in other countries. So I think Britain is one of the safest places you could say to be living in right now. If you look around the world and see what's going on in other countries, we are very lucky.
Well, 3 ton of goods in the back of a truck going off, I feel a little bit like the medieval sailor, not knowing where I'm going to arrive and not know how I'm going to get there. Pardon me getting emotional over Croatia. It does tend to upset me a bit.
As I've grown up and got older, I've seen what a waste war is in some ways. You know, it's a waste of ideas, people, materials, all sorts of things. It's waste.
I'm more worried about my son now. I mean, I always worry, but he's my only child. But my son is going to Iraq now in September, and it's a worry. Yeah. It's what his job is. It's what he wants to do. You know, so I have to support him.
We're in a mess right now, but we can get to a point down the road where it works itself out a bit.
If you want peace, there's only one person that can give you peace, and it's Jesus himself. And you find that through reading the Bible.
Well, probably the golden rule. Just treat others like you want to be treated, and treat everyone with respect. And
the message that Jesus left us with, which was love your neighbour as yourself, and love God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your spirit. Those were the 2 greatest commandments, and I believe they reflect on how people should live today. I think they're very important.
I think that if you've got a passion for something nowadays, or if you're a joiner of things nowadays, you're looked upon as a bit odd, you know. People have got to lay it on the line and say, yeah, I want to do that, and get a bit of enthusiasm going here, you know.
Just grasp it, grab it while you can. Because life, you know, is not a dress rehearsal, it's for real. Yeah.
The world is this. I am 51 years old. Today, 25th of the 8th, 1954, I was born. When I was young, I could have done a lot of things, but I messed around. I could have been a good boxer, but I didn't stick with it. I could have been a good musician, singer, but I didn't go for it. And as I got older in life, I realised that I wasn't bold enough and I could have taken a few more risks. And what I'm saying to the world is, take a few risks, because the sands of time run out like an egg timer, and before you know it, you'll be looking back and saying, I'm 50 now, I'm 60 now, and what would have been, should have been, and could have been, and might have been, will never be. It'll be gone.
But I'm a Christian. I don't make any bones about that, and I just tell people, you start reading your Bible if you want an answer for life. And that is where you'll find the answer.
The choices you make now will decide who you are in the process of time. And at the end of that process of time, it's called your future. Where do you want to be in the future? Determined now by the choices you make now. That's it.
What is it that you particularly like about him?
Well, I think it's not until you actually travel elsewhere do you realise how much Plymouth has to offer. And we're very fortunate to have the benefits of Dartmoor and moorland to the north of the city, but also the scenic and lovely coastal areas of Devon and Cornwall.
I like the city
you know, the shopping area. And I used to like the nightlife in my young. Now, of course, it don't mean anything to me at all. I mean, at my age, obviously. But I have played in all the theatres and clubs and pubs in Plymouth, you know. That part of it I really like, you know.
I joined the Marines, and having arrived in Plymouth and being based in Plymouth, as a young Marine, I settled here, married here, my family had been raised here, and I'm quite happy with the area.
It's a better place than any, you know. There's work down here, nice weather, well, sometimes, but it's a nice city.
I walk around this city and I see some children, what they say and how they address their parents. I think it's dreadful. I think it's awful.
Well, I think they should accept more discipline.
Give them more discipline.
No discipline in school whatsoever. They just seem to be able to do what they want.
You see, I was in the prisons, and it wasn't until I was finishing that they started talking about drugs. But I've never been in contact with drugs. And drugs have got worse and worse, haven't they? And I would strongly say have nothing to do with them.
It's sad that in today's society, many of them don't have jobs. Many of them are involved in, obviously, substance misuse. Obviously, the old saying of sex, drugs and rock and roll, unfortunately, is destroying the lives of so many young people. And also the gun crime as well.
But you can't tell youngsters what to do. They couldn't tell me what to do. I did what I wanted to do. And I think the present generation do the same. Yeah.
It's like in America, but in Britain, the youth are classed as villains and troublemakers. And people seem to forget that Tony Blair was almost a hippie when he was young.
You should always try to achieve and always try to do what you want to achieve out of life. And despite all those who don't want you to achieve, go for it. And that's the strongest advice I could possibly give, that you can achieve. I've achieved one aspiration I've had of being the Lord Mayor of Plymouth, you know, at a far younger age than ever would have conceivably been thought of some years ago. And my advice is go for it and you will succeed in the end.
We're a united world, and to just break down racism, just break down religion, it's the fact that we're all part of the human race, we're all part of a global race, and it's about making things better for everybody, no matter what your colour is, no matter what your religion is, no matter what your gender is, it's about helping each other.
People are violent, and the world is beautiful, but the people in it, there's a mixture, isn't there? There's a mixture. I know now that I'm an old man and I'm at the end of my life, but in some ways I don't want to carry on and see worse times, and it's likely to be worse, isn't it? It is. But I've made peace with my Maker and I'm ready to go. But I want to keep looking after my wife, and like me, she says she wants to go first because she, bless her, is now 96 next month. And we've had a long, happy life, but I couldn't say we've never had a crossword because we have. But she's been good to me, been good. I'll never have another one like her forever. No.
I was born 30 miles from here in Bath. I'm
We came to Swindon when I was 2 years of age.
And it's a lovely area, lovely people.
I was in the forces, and Swindon was one of the first locations I actually started out at. And after travelling around, I ended up coming back to Swindon. Good central point.
In the last few years, it's just changed massively. Just, you know, everything's changed.
The farms are just not farms anymore. A lot of them are turning into like commercial premises and little factory outlets and all that type of thing.
I've got a little thatched cottage because I didn't want my children growing up in London, because the atmosphere just wasn't nice, you know, so we thought we'd move to the country.
Come from Swindon, lived there all my life, to London for a bit, leave to Swindon for a bit, and sort of, yeah, come back to Swindon to get healthy and happy again.
I wanted to try and do a little bit for my neighbours, and lots of people said to me, go on, go for being a parish councillor, and I got elected on, which is bizarre. It's quite strange because I'm actually an elected member of my local authority. Although it's at the very lowest level, I still am Councillor Phillips, which is bizarre, which is just surreal. You know, I can go into the council offices and they make me a cup of coffee, and I get to go somewhere nice and sit down and people deal with me, which is bizarre. It's lovely. But it's just so that I could help out, you know, my neighbours and get stuff done.
And I've been a very fortunate man, actually. I have a lovely wife I've been married to for almost 48 years. She's very, very clever. Whatever she turns her hand to is a success. She's very, very good. She's a tailoress.
I'm a bespoke tailoress, and outside Savile Row in London, there are very few of us now working. Young people don't really want to come into my trade. It takes a long time to learn, and at first the remuneration is not brilliant. But it's a craft. It's something you have to love, working with your hands, creating something. So yeah, I enjoy doing that very much.
Now, I set up the local website, and lots of people were interested in that, and it brought a lot more of the community together.
To try and be kind as you can to people. Help all you can. You'll get the benefit of it. You'll get the greater benefit of it, because human kindness has a habit of bouncing back on you.
Try and just do something nice every now and then, not for any reason other than you can make someone else's life just a bit better. Just, you know, do something without an ulterior motive other than just to make them smile, just to make them, you know, could be anything.
Regardless of where you're from, what language you speak, you all play together, you all get on together. There's no barriers, there's no boundaries.
It's very difficult. You've got to educate people. And I think unless people are educated more and more so they can think things out more for themselves rather than listen to just what they hear on the box, which commentators of all persuasions say, is very, very difficult. So it's difficult to make a real considered opinion on the whole issue. It's bad, it's terrible. These people that go around now, I mean, venting their anger and all, there's other ways of doing it rather than violence.
I think it makes one much more aware of how human we all are, how small the world is, and a great desire to see peace.
Everybody is somebody else's weirdo. Doesn't matter how much you think you're normal or whatever, there is always someone out there who will dislike you for something you can't help, that you can't understand mostly. No one's the same, everyone's different, and, you know, expect people to be different and never look for the bad things. And if people have got bad things and you can get past them, just ignore those, because there's usually good things about everyone.
Respect other people. Look after the environment.
Keep the world clean. It won't feed you forever.
Everything you burn costs, everything you cut down costs, everything you slaughter to extinction costs, immeasurable cost. Every time you spray deodorant, there's an ice cap somewhere paying for it.
And don't drop litter. Don't drop litter, that's really important. There's two types of people in the world, people who drop litter and people who don't. And there's never people who sometimes drop litter.
For heaven's sake, behave.
Great.
I suppose it's got more of a sort of a young vibe about it, you know, students, a lot of students around and that, so I suppose they're all academical and they think, you know, youngsters, they tend to have more of an open mind about the universe and stuff, whereas you get in cities, you get more sort of claustrophobic.
I mean, it's something special because London is also very nice, but Cambridge is different from London, and I think it's also like the feeling of Britain.
Cambridge is flat, Anglia is flat. I think that's about it, really.
The market's nice. It's got a nice atmosphere. It's it's a rare thing to find an atmosphere like that in any English town these days.
It's got a lot of culture, a lot of history. It's quite diverse. It's quite cosmopolitan. I can relax and chill out here, and I guess it's got meaning for me. It's got warmth to it.
Originally, I'm from the Black Sea. The Novorossiysk is a very big port, so it's my hometown. But for the last 5 years, I lived in Moscow because I studied at Moscow University. And after graduation, just after completing my first degree, I came to study in London. And now I'm doing masters. I'm studying shipping, trade and finance in Cass Business School, City University of London. So I'm already completing it, so I hope.
I do a bit of busking, guitar work. I just stroll around really, go down, I mean I'm a bricklayer, but I've got this allergy for cement these days, so I'm on the medical, you know. So I sign on the old medical and you know, I just sort of walk around and do a bit of busking, laying in the park, whatever. Do things like this. Crazy stuff.
I grew up in Cambridge. Moved away when I was about 23, I think. Got married. Some years later got divorced. Now I live in London. But I come here regularly. My parents still live here. Out of all the towns I've visited in the world, this is one of my favourites.
I've got heritage from Ireland, so I spent 4 years in Ireland. I grew up in Shrewsbury till I was 14. Then, like, my parents emigrated to Africa, South Africa. So I was there for 10 years. So then I come back to live in England. I went to Ireland for 4 years, then a little bit of Holland and a bit of Northern Ireland, a bit of Belgium. I worked in Germany for a while, you know. So where I'm from is irrelevant really because I live here now, you know, sort of in Cambridge.
I've been to Iceland, Denmark, Germany, Sweden, and I've just come back from Denmark again.
Well, I'm not really from anywhere, and that's a fact. I was born in Bristol, England. My father was in the English Army, and he was a South African. And we basically, because of that, travelled the world when I was young, so I saw a lot before I was 14, which was great. So I'm not really from anywhere.
And to just say we're all earthlings anyway, you know? To join the intergalactic union of the whole universe, like, yeah, the whole world has to think as one. Yeah?
My friend, she's Muslim. And I was just reading about their religion, about Quran, not Quran itself, but about and it actually says that all the religions, they have the same nature, the same background. I mean, actually, if you just read the history itself, you can see that, I mean, we have a lot in common, and I think as long as we understand that we're the same, we're one nation, like just the world nation, world community.
Because the bottom line is we're all conditioned human beings. We come from somewhere and we go somewhere. And most of us are walking asleep. You know, and it's a question of not being that way. That's the only way the planet's going to change. It's not going to change through politics, ever. It's not going to change through outward movements. It's only going to change when you change yourself.
So my viewpoint about what's happening in the world is relative to my beliefs in the Bible. So I'd say, you know, look at what's really going on. Step outside the box and look at what's really going on in the world. And make your judgments from that. And it's a cliche, but the one thing we learn from history is that we don't learn from history.
There's so much hatred in the world, and it's all to do with either religion or your beliefs. My religions, don't let it bother you. Live and let live. The Israelis are giving back the land to the Palestinians, and this morning a Palestinian went and tried to blow up more Israelis. Why? What more can the Israelis do? I just don't understand the world. I just want to get on with my life, happy with my wife, my children and my grandchildren. And I'd like my grandchildren to be able to live in a death-free society where they don't have to worry about rape, murder, drugs. But there you go, it's a pipe dream. It ain't gonna happen.
I love the bohemian aspect of Notting Hill itself. My sister lives in Bayswater, so I stay with her a lot. It's nice because it's nice. It's near Hyde Park, which is where I spend a lot of my time in Hyde Park. It's a great place. I just enjoy just chilling out basically. And Portobello Road on Saturday mornings is great in the morning, and then Brown Market is a great place as well. I just love it. I think it's got a lot of culture. It's got a lot of history. You know, it was quite a sort of bad place, quite a sort of ethnic, quite a sort of not necessarily the best place to live in London, but now it's got like a history to it. It was some place like Chelsea are all very similar, so like it's good to get something like that. Sorry about that. My friend's muting me. Sorry.
London was actually a place I was travelling through. I had no intention of staying in the city whatsoever, but London is possibly the only city I've ever lived in that the world's your oyster. You can do absolutely anything here. There's everybody from everywhere. There's every opportunity if you work hard and find it. Yeah.
You know, it's so diverse. It was kind of shocking at first. Where I lived in Orlando, Florida, it's you have a little bit of diversity, but not as much. But here it's awesome. I really like it. Yeah.
It's a great place to be, and there's a lot of people around here, and there's basically you can do anything in London. So it's a great place to be, and I love it to bits.
Well, at the moment I'm from London. I'm writing an opera, which hopefully is going to be on stage in February.
I run the Notting Hill Film Festival, which is an independent British film festival set up in 2003.
Well, basically, right now I don't do anything. I'm taking like a gap year out from school.
Oh, I love musical theatre. I think if there's all different kinds of music, like, classical music comes close and psytrance comes close, but when like the big finale when they sing that big high note at the end and there's a huge rush of energy, you can't get that anywhere else, and I love it.
Just enjoying life, just clubbing and meeting exciting new people and stuff like that.
I wrote one musical which, after the terrorist drama, has had to be totally rewritten.
I've never been to New York. So I've never seen the Twin Towers. I've never seen the Pentagon. Well, I've seen the Pentagon, but I've never seen Twin Towers. So it wasn't really a big deal for me.
I was working in a financial institution, and just when I came back to England, decided no, I will go back to film. And so you just, I think you realise life was very short when you see situations like that happen. And yeah, absolutely, changed everything.
The 11th of September? Not really. No. I mean, I always knew that there is bad and evil. It was just, no, it wasn't the worst thing. I'm German, no? You know what the Germans did. Actually, the 11th of September is nothing in relationship to the Nazi Germany. It's nothing in relationship to what the Americans or the United States did to the people who lived there before the white man came. Don't forget that.
I think the London bombs really changed me a bit more because there was my sister was in London bombs in Edgware Road. So I was like that because basically I've been to Edgware Road, I've been to Oval, I've been to these places, so I know them very well. So like that was the real hitting home. I think that I'm more cautious when I go places. So but it's I don't know. I'm more aware of other cultures. And I'm more aware of just the whole extremism. It's a frightening time to live, but you basically got to get on with it. Basically, in my opinion, you just got to don't let it bother you and just carry on. Yeah.
But on the same time, I'm convinced if such a bad thing can happen, then on the other side, there's the possibility of something really beautiful. Let peace and beauty reign and bring us love again. It's from Moby.
It would be like what John Lennon said, you know, it's love is everything, love is the answer. You know, in the name of religion, people kill each other, and you just gotta find within you what your heart tells you. Love is the answer. You know, just gotta love each other. Yeah.
Stay along the same lines, I think. Just be more thoughtful towards other people. Always think a little bit more about what your actions are and how you're treating other people. I think that's the most important thing, because that's at the end of the day, it's how people interact with one another. Is how the world happens, how people get on with each other.
Jesus loves you. I love you too. Love each other. Save the world.
Imagine if you had a tale to tell that had begun from the moment you were born and before, that still continued to present day, that was not just ordinary but extraordinary, not just real but surreal. Imagine a story of such immense proportions that it encapsulated an array of emotions to such intensity and veracity, to such an extremity of both polarities, that in a simple few words or passing hour it could not be fully expressed. A story that had a lifetime of experiential diversity that could not be encompassed in one small slot, nor could any film produce yet surpass, but standing alone would expand the mindset beyond all its present capabilities and all its boundaries. However, to make this film would take passion, commitment, an ability to be bursting with empathy, to suppress all New Age notions of fear, to push aside the pillars of belief, to ignore condition, to embrace individualism and uniqueness. That has created many challenges, attracted many enemies both internally and externally, of institutions, individuals and expressions and experiences. The story holds. A story that has held the light and the dark, every conceivable expression and the determination of one person to overcome all the odds set against them, a witness of life and all its manners, an insightful, groundbreaking, at times logic-defining, moving, one of extreme danger and courage, but humorous and most of all deeply inspirational. For this reason, I need protection, and the story which I do intend to share is highly valuable. If you knew it in the way I do, you would agree. It stands alone. As I was born so different, I have invoked indifference, a lifetime of different experiences and interactions not defined within the norm, that few have been able to relate to. Different actions and reactions have occurred when confronted with such a differential person. There are elements of my story that meld with everyday life and life itself. For society has assisted me both positively and negatively in order for me to have this story. People have played their part, and without them I would not exist, and it is for them I extend my thanks by offering under protection a story to share, to empower, to soften hearts, to release suppression, and to show a way to freedom.
The best thing is music because it unites people, and the worst thing is religion because it divides people.
You know, everybody's different religions, races, but we're all basically the same, so just try and be tolerant of everybody else's views.
We are from different caste and creed, with different color, whatever, but the heart is same. Even you need love, I need love. God sent us just to flourish love, nothing else.
At the end of the day, we all breathe the same air, so we've all got the same right to be on this earth. No one's better, no one's worse.
How you do whatever it is, it's how you come out of it. That's what makes you stronger.
Governments are powerful, but the people are more powerful.
I really do think that if people got to know people, learn a wee bit about them, that we wouldn't have half the problems we have in the world today.
Respect each other. Listen, be good to people.
Just to try and live peaceably.
Be kind to other people. I mean, the thing is, and have some sense of decency.
To just think of themselves as human beings and love one another as a human being. Be patient with one another. Try to love one another. Try to be patient.
It doesn't matter what nationality you are, what colour you are, we all got to work together.
You've got to learn to get along. We only live once.
Are you part of conditioning, or are you part of who you were born to be?
If you've got respect for yourself, then you will have more respect for other people as well.
Treat people with respect and you'll get respect back.
Love, understanding, caring for one another, basically. Yeah. Love, understanding, caring for one another. That's it, nice and simple.
Treat others like you want to be treated and treat everyone with respect.
The message that Jesus left us with, which was love your neighbour as yourself and love God with all your heart, all your mind and all your spirit.
Life, you know, it's not a dress rehearsal, it's for real.
And what I'm saying to the world is, take a few risks, because the sands of time run out like an egg timer, and before you know it, you'll be looking back and saying, I'm 50 now, I'm 60 now, and what would have been, should have been, and could have been, and might have been, will never be. It'll be gone. Where do you want to be in the future? Determined now by the choices you make now.
My advice is go for it, and you will succeed in the end.
A global race, and it's about making things better for everybody. No matter what your colour is, no matter what your religion is, no matter what your gender is, it's about helping each other.
Human kindness has a habit of bouncing back on you.
Try and just do something nice every now and then, not for any reason other than you can make someone else's life just a bit better.
I think it makes one much more aware of how human we all are, how small the world is, and a great desire to see peace.
no one's the same, everyone's different, and, you know, expect people to be different and never look for the bad things. And if people have got bad things and you can get past them, just ignore those, because there's usually good things about everyone.
The whole world has to think as one.
As long as we understand that we're the same, we're one nation, like it's the world nation.
Step outside the box and look at what's really going on in the world and make your judgments from that.
And there's never people who sometimes drop there.
Jesus loves you, I love you too, love each other, save the world.
For heaven's sake, behave.